Hi guys, this is Eric.
And this is Cindy.
And today for you we have an interview with our friend Lewis. He just got to the Philippines. He's been here about 9 months and wanted to give you his story. But before we do that, we'd like to have you guys to like, comment, subscribe, and let us know if you have any questions about how to get to the Philippines or even about Davao or Cebu City down below. And thanks. We'll go right into it now. All right, we have here, guys. This is Lewis. Lewis, we met at Sunshine Shoulders meet and greet, and he has an interesting story, and we thought we'd let him tell it on our channel here. You can introduce yourself there, Lewis. That'd be great. And let us
Okay.
know where you came from.
Okay. Well, where do I start? Originally, I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio, and
Okay.
I joined the military pretty young and moved around several places. I've lived overseas since 2015 in the Middle East, Korea, United Kingdom, and then finally here into the Philippines. And Eric, as we were discussing, I moved to the Philippines almost 9 months now, and it's been a phenomenal transition. I moved from Korea to come directly here to the Philippines, and I absolutely love it. So
Okay.
I had only been to the Philippines once in 2017 prior to moving here 2022. I had a Filipina girlfriend, and I came home to visit with her in Pampanga, in that area near Clark and Angeles City, in that area. And when I visited, I absolutely fell in love with the country, and I said, definitely, I'm going to retire here. And so that's how I actually ended up here in the Philippines.
Okay, great.
That's nice.
All right.
Yeah, love it.
And so was Pampanga, was that the only other area you lived in the Philippines?
Well, I never lived here. Like I said, I just visited when
Uh-huh.
my girlfriend was there back in 2017. The only place I've ever lived has been here in Davao City, where I'm currently. That's been the only place that I've lived. So
Okay. All right. And how do you like the Davao so far?
I absolutely love it. It's I get that question all the time when I talk to people, why Davao? And I have several reasons, personal reasons for me. And again, I don't want to say anything that offends your listeners, your subscribers, or anything. This is just my vantage point, my standpoint, and what works for me. But one of the main things, it's a medium-sized city, about 2 million people, give or take, all the province and everything else. Good medical, good universities, and one of the main selling points was that there are not a lot of foreigners. When I came up to Cebu for the first time to do the meet and greet, I was blown away at the number of foreigners I saw in Cebu, and I was like, absolutely not. You know, again, nothing against foreigners, but if I want to live with a bunch of Americans, then I would have gone back home to America. So that was the entire point of living overseas in other countries, is to actually immerse yourself into the culture with the people and the experience itself. So we don't get typhoons here in Davao. We get a boatload of earthquakes, but we don't get typhoons down here, which is another good thing. So the
That's great.
transition has been great. I couldn't have asked for a more seamless transition to Davao from Korea. I lived in Busan, South Korea, coming here.
Great. I hear that it's very clean there, and I heard there's not a lot of crime.
D- Excellent points. Former President Duterte, his family's entrenched here. He lives here. The only thing that Davao had a few years ago is they had a terrorism incident or incidents. But in terms of me operating daily, being out at night, daytime, I don't have a fear of crime or somebody going to try to rob me or take advantage or anything like that. I don't have that issue at all. I exercise early in the morning. I'll get out about 6 a.m. It's not so busy. Never had anybody say anything or try anything with me. So, yeah, that's an excellent point. That was another reason moving here. The crime and the cleanliness, it's a lot cleaner than Cebu, and I'm sure Manila as well. But there's still some areas that they have some improvements they can do here.
Great.
Yeah.
What do you think about the cost of living? For example, maybe on the rental front, on apartment rental front? What are the
Well,
average rentals?
well, I have to say again, here's my caveat.
Uh-huh.
I grew accustomed to a standard of living that I've worked for and I've retired to. So for
Uh-huh.
me, I'm on the higher end of probably what people pay in rent. And again, I'm not some rich guy, but
Okay.
I'm in a condo in a high-rise building, and my rent is 45,000 pesos per month. That's excluding, my internet, electricity, water, and my telephone there.
Okay.
So for me, it's relative that's no problem for me because coming from Korea, my apartment there was almost 4 grand a month. So you're talking about New York prices, and then you come here, and all my expenses for living are about 1,100. So
Okay.
it's a huge drop off. But again, I've got a couple buddies I've met here. They pay 20,000 pesos per month for rent. But again, it depends on how you want to live and your budget and everything else. So
Okay. All right. Great. Let's see now. What was one of your biggest culture shocks about when you came to the Philippines?
I was used to Filipinos being OFWs. When I was in the Middle East in 2015, that was really my first introduction into Filipino people. I had a friend of mine when I was in the military many years ago. His mom was Filipina and his dad was black, and she was phenomenal. But working with Filipinos on a daily basis and then starting dating Filipinas is different. When I got here to the Philippines, I was like, oh, okay, they're a little different. The biggest thing for me was, and Calvin talks about this on a couple of his videos, were the actual the staring when they see you. It's like they
Okay.
see you and they follow you without saying hello. You're walking and they're staring at you. So I had to get used to that. I had to tell myself to relax because Eric, as you know, in America, staring at somebody for an extended period, that's a form of disrespect. So you're like, hey, what's your problem? But I
Yeah.
had to keep in mind there were no bad intentions with that. So I learned to adjust to that. But in terms of dealing with the Filipino people, I have dated Filipinas. I've worked with them. So there was really no culture shock in terms of, oh my God, I didn't know they did that. They're still caring, warm, kind, giving, fun people, loud as can be, just like us black people. So there are a lot of similarities in what we do. So,
What
yeah, so
about in
really,
Korea?
really no cultural shock.
Was it similar to staring in Korea? Did you find that?
Korea, yes, South Korea was exactly like that, but that's a little unique because in my area there were not a lot of foreigners, and there definitely wasn't any black people. So
Okay.
my area, I was in Korea 39 months, and I'm not exaggerating. I probably saw 5 black people in my area the entire 39 months.
Wow.
So when you would see a black person, you're throwing your hand up to say hello to them, because you just didn't see them often. But once they got to know you, like I lived in a high-rise building as well in Korea, and in my neighborhood, the kids would see me, they got used to me. So I used to joke with the kids, say hi. They would try to practice their English on me. So they get used to you once they see you every day. Same thing here in Davao, me and my building and the areas where I'm walking. I see guys every morning where I exercise, and we always say good morning to each other. So it's just familiarity. That's all.
And you were there how long?
Almost 9 months. Oh, in Korea,
Yeah.
39 months. And here,
Thir-
almost 9 months.
oh, okay, 39. Wow, that's
Yeah,
3 years and a
three
little
three
over three
years and
years.
3 months. Yeah,
Oh, okay, okay.
yeah.
And why did you want to leave the States back when you first left? What were some of the reasons?
Career. I've always
Career?
been, yeah, I've always been the guy that if an opportunity comes up, I'll take it. I don't care if it's in hell because I know I can only stay there for a certain amount of time, and I can always leave. So I've been overseas many times before, working overseas, traveling and doing other stuff. So I'm like, hey, yeah, I'll go. Same thing with the Middle East. I was in New Orleans living, and the Middle East opportunity came up. I was like, yeah, shit, I'll go. And so that's how I ended up in the Middle East. And then from there to Korea, I asked to go to Korea. So, just a career opportunity and an opportunity to do something differently. I'm always looking for something a little more engaging than what I'm doing, the opportunity to do something different, to meet different people, to live different experiences. I don't want to die and be like, hey, the only thing I've ever done is live in Ohio. I just,
Yeah, yeah.
to me, humbly, that's just a waste of a life. So that's my own opinion. So.
What kind of work were you doing over there in Korea?
Well, I work for the U.S. government, so that afforded me civilian for the U.S. government. So that afforded me a lot of opportunities to move around.
Okay.
And the work I was doing, a lot of people didn't want to go overseas. We had probably about 10% that would want to go overseas and work. So the opportunities were abound to have the opportunity to go to. We have offices in Japan, Korea. We have an office in the Philippines up in the U.S. Embassy. So we had offices everywhere. We have an office in Thailand. So, there were plenty of opportunities to work overseas. So I just seized the moment and jumped at it. So easy enough.
Oh, that's good. That sounds
Mhm.
good. You got a couple of questions for him?
Oh yeah, I have first any advice you would give to those who would like to live here in the Philippines?
Oh, absolutely. That's a great question, Cindy. One of the first things I would definitely tell any expat that wants to come to the Philippines and live is you can't be half in and half out. If you're deciding, and again, this is just my opinion, Cindy, if you're going to do it, then do it.
Yeah.
Because you never get a full vantage point when you're only here 6 months, because it's like a vacation. Oh, I'm
Yeah.
6 months here, and then I go home for 6 months. So when I made the decision that I was retiring overseas, I had property in Georgia. I sold my real property, my land. I sold my pickup truck. I have an adult son, so I gave my son my furniture. I said, hey, you got your house. Take this stuff if you want it. So I liquidated everything. So when I arrived to the Philippines, Cindy, I had one large suitcase, a backpack, and a little carry-on for the plane. And that was what I came when I came here. But I'm a little different. It's easy for me to make a decision once I get the information and do my due diligence. So I made a decision that this is where I was going, so nothing was going to stop me from living the life here. So as we talked, Eric, I have my
Mhm.
visa already. I have my Phil Health. I have my Philippines driver's license. I'm all in. This is home for me. So
Great.
that's important. Number two, to be financially solvent to live overseas. I look at a lot of videos and everybody, oh, you can live in the Philippines for 1,000. I don't know where they're living, but that ain't true. 2,000 is really pushing the limit. 3,000, you're in a sweet spot. So if I think if any of your viewers really want to come to the Philippines and not be taxed in terms of their living check, the retirement check, or Social Security to Social Security, then they definitely need to be financially solvent when coming here. You have to be able to say, hey, I have the money to live the life that I want to live, because that adds a lot of pressure, Eric, as you know, when you're trying to keep a home somewhere else and you have things there, and then you're here and you're trying to manage. That's a lot of pressure. And then the last thing I think, which is crucially important, is when you're making a move to come to a foreign country, you have to leave who you were behind. Not
Okay.
fundamentally your baseline, but you can't come to the Philippines with a boatload of problems. Oh, my wife left me. I still love my ex-wife. And then the next thing you want to do is get involved with the Filipina. That's
Yeah.
not fair to them. That's not fair to yourself. And then if you're dealing with emotional issues, this is not the place to be trying to work that stuff out. Filipinos have enough going on here that they don't need a foreigner coming over with the other stuff that they're bringing as well. And then the another main thing to me, and my last point, sorry to be so long-winded, is the physical fitness aspect of it, the mental and the medical of it. If you have serious medical conditions, work on getting better before you come to the Philippines. Unless you're coming here to die, then that's something totally different. But but if you've got diabetes or if you got this, work on controlling your weight, work on changing your diet, drop some pounds before you come here, because this place will kill you. It's hot. There's a lot of walking. The beautiful young Filipinas, they're active. Filipinos don't like to sit at home. They want to go do stuff. So if you're one of these guys that, oh, I'm just going to lay on the couch, you live a sedentary lifestyle, then that'll be the end of you. So again, these are just my personal things that I use, and I think it'll be handy to any expat that wants to come here and to live and to fully enjoy the Philippines. I moved here. Calvin and I talked at the meet and greet, and one thing he says all the time, and I reiterate that, is that I moved to the Philippines for the Philippines. I'm a single guy. I don't have a Filipina girlfriend. I'm not married. I'm not looking to do anything serious right now. I want to enjoy the Philippines. I want to see the country. I went to Cebu. I'm going to Clark in a couple of weeks just to tool around there for 4 days. So I really want to see the Philippines before I jump into anything serious. So those are just my suggestions, my own personal vantage point that I think would help people really enjoy this country and not have an issue with it.
Great. And if I'm not mistaken, you're in your early 50s?
Yeah, I'll be 54 June 7th.
Okay, you got pretty
Yep.
very early.
Yeah,
Very,
yeah,
very
yeah,
early.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I worked
Yeah.
26 years, 7 months, and 4 days when I retired. So,
Oh, that's
yeah,
good.
half of my adult life was working for USG. So, yeah,
Okay. All right. That's very good. You were able to get out this early.
absolutely.
Yeah, I have a follow-up question, Lewis. So, since you were saying that you have been dating Filipinas here in
Mhm.
Philippines,
Sure.
what can you say about Filipinas in general, or your own perspective?
Cindy, you trying to get me blacklisted from YouTube? Well, to state the obvious, I think Filipinos are some of the most beautiful women in the world, and I've dated women. Being a single guy and living everywhere, I've dated women from forever. I had a wonderful South Korean girlfriend. She was absolutely smoking. I just wasn't interested in being married and staying in Korea. Definitely Filipinas are some of the most beautiful women, and they're definitely some of the most smartest people I've ever met in my life. And I've met people from all over the place. You guys, your intelligence and then your courage that you have to leave your home and go to other countries that you probably don't even speak the language to, and then to provide a life or resources to your family. I mean, that's hugely important. And not only that, you get there, you navigate in a foreign country. The Philippine. I don't know if you and Eric, you're probably familiar with this. The Filipina network is huge worldwide. No
Oh,
matter
yeah.
what city they're in, they know a group of Filipinos, and they all
Yeah.
get together. So those are some of the things that I would say that endear me to the Filipina, the hardworking. But some of the things that I don't care for is not making smart decisions when it comes to relationships and children and things like that. That's easier said than done. I think if they Filipinos, they love to be in love. The idea, the concept of love, nobody will sell you love better than a Filipina. From the music they sing, every song is a love song. If you're doing karaoke with them, it's a love song. And I'm like, God, guys, can we do something more up tempo? So I think if they if they just slow down a little bit and apply some, hey, can I really afford to be pregnant, or can I afford to do this? I think they'll be in a much better situation. And again, that's from my own vantage point. I've dated Filipinos with kids. I've dated Filipinos who were single. I've dated a Filipina who was single, who was taking care of her entire family, from the mother, fathers, sisters. And that, Eric, as Americans, that's counterintuitive to what we're taught. We're taught to be self-sufficient, get out on your own at 18, make it work,
Yeah.
push through the pain, all of those
Mm-hmm.
things. That's what we're taught as Americans. And then you come here and there's one Filipina supporting an entire family, which I still try to understand that. So, but again, I'm sure, I have no doubt that I'll probably be married to a Filipina. There is no doubt that somebody's going to catch me, and I'm not going to be able to say absolutely not that I'm a catch, but I'm going to absolutely be able to not say nah, no, thank you. They're wonderful women. I enjoy being around them. I have Filipino friends that I enjoy spending time with. So yeah, just awesome people all together.
Thank you kindly for that.
Yes. All right.
I'm not trying to curry any points. It's just my truth. What I believe. So, and definitely the intelligence part. I've had Filipinas that I'm friends with till this day that lived overseas in the Middle East and speak fluent Arabic, learning by ear. Different dialects of Arabic. If you come from Qatar, if you come from Oman, if you come from Saudi, my friend can recognize where you come from and speak that dialect by ear. No formal training, nothing. I'm barely mastering English, and she's picking up a third language because typically they're speaking whatever dialect they speak here in the Philippines, English, and then the language in the country they're working. So again, I have nothing but profound respect for Filipinas and you know what they have to go through. But yeah, some of the smartest people I've ever met.
Okay, all right. I appreciate that, Lewis. Final question. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of comments about this, or somebody at least is going to be asking. What about the percentage? Is there a large percentage of Muslims in the Davao area?
Yes,
Is it very present?
yes,
You can see it quite a
yes.
bit? Okay.
There are here in Davao, the Muslim community is a huge part of this community here. You'll see the women in a traditional head wrap. They don't necessarily wear and again, I'm getting old, the disdaja, I think it is, if I'm pronouncing it incorrectly. I'm sure somebody will correct me. But the typical garb you see in the Muslim countries, you know, overseas in the Middle East, but they do wear the head wrap. I've seen some with the traditional Muslim female dress, but they're a part of this community. Absolutely, absolutely. You see them at the mall, you see them at restaurants. I mean, they're working in places. They're everywhere. So yeah, it's huge.
It's not that many in Cebu. I can see that right now. So,
I didn't see any when I was there. I went to the mall
yeah.
a few times, and I didn't see any. But if you came to the malls here, in plural, we have many malls here. You would see them just like you would see, you know, anybody else. So
So have you had a chance to go to Manila other than for flight transfer?
just a flight. I have no desire for Manila in terms of vacation, but I want to go because I hear there's a veterans cemetery there that I want to
Yes.
visit. So
We got that.
that'll be the thing. Yeah, that'll be the thing that'll get me to Manila. But I have no interest. What is Manila? 10, 11 million people. I have no interest in a city that large.
20, I think.
And Seoul, South Korea was the same way. We had 10, 11 million people. I had to go there for work a lot, but as soon as I would finish work, I was coming right back down to Busan. You know, a city that large, I have no desire for that. So that's why I said Davao was a good mix because it's about 2 million people, plenty of stuff to do if you get bored, large enough that you're really not on top of one another. It's still a very dense city, Davao is. You have high-rise buildings, but you have the typical Filipino houses that are right next door to one another, on top of each other. So, but yeah.
Okay, well, great. Lewis, I want to thank you for coming on. I want to keep you too long. And thank you for telling our members about your situation and how you managed to become interested in the Philippines. And we want to welcome you aboard here. It was great to meet you. I know
Yeah.
you've only been here 9 months. And
Yep.
hopefully you'll come back up here. And when you do, let us know. And
Oh, absolutely.
we'll be glad to meet up with you again.
It's a pleasure. And like I said, I'll tell your viewers, don't hesitate to come to the Philippines. Is it America? Absolutely not. But that's the great thing about it. Will you have some of the accoutrements that you have at home? You will not. But that's the good thing about it. You know, I couldn't have made a better decision. I wake up every morning, Cindy, and I look out my window and there's a mountain and the palm trees, and I'm just looking out the window like, wow, I cannot believe this is my home. You know, so it was one of the best decisions I've ever made to move here and to retire here and hopefully die here. So I don't plan on leaving or going any other place. So easy enough.
All right, man. Well, thanks
Guys.
once again.
No worries. It's good seeing you again. Cindy, keep him out of trouble, okay?
Oh, yes, indeed.
All right, guys. Take care.
Okay, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video.
Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.
And this is Eric.
And Cindy.